I was just finishing my nursing prereqs when all of it started. I was at a bridal shower one day when all of a sudden I had a really bad pain in my left lower side. This pain sent me to my knees, and I was crying, sweating, nauseous, and just in so much pain that I've never had before. And so this pain lasted for about an hour straight, and I just remember thinking, what in the world is happening to me? And so I said out loud once the pain started to go away, if this happens again, I'm gonna go to the doctor. And the pain happened again about a week later while I was in class. And I've never had the pain since, and I've never had the pain before, but I went to the doctor and I asked the doctor, can I please have an ultrasound, because I wanna know what this pain is. The same day, I got an ultrasound, but I also got a call back saying, can you please come back in? When I came back in, the doctor said, we found a tumor on your bladder and you need to go get it looked at more. He told me that we don't think it's anything serious because you're really young, but at the same time, it could be cancer, but we just need to rule it out and be safe. So after a lot of testing, a couple weeks later, I got a biopsy on the tumor. And then on January 3rd of 2014, for my final results, I was diagnosed with stage 2 bladder cancer. During this time, I remember when he told me I had cancer, just like a huge wave came from my head all the way to my feet. And I just remember feeling like in shock and just disbelief, and just thinking, I don't want people to pity me. I want to show God through all of this. After I got diagnosed, there was tons of different emotions. There was times where I felt at peace and I trusted God's plan, and I was saying, hey God, if this is what you have planned for me, then I'm okay with it. But then there was also times where I had a lot of fear and I was unsure of if I was okay with the plan. There was times where I was saying, well, if I'm gonna pass away during this time, I'm not okay with that. But then there was times where I was saying that I am okay with it. I was also fearful of just not being a nurse one day. I was fearful of not being a wife and not having kids. I was also just starting to date someone, and I had to tell him I had cancer. That's not a usual thing to tell someone you're interested in that you have cancer. But I was also a little scared of just the treatment I had to go through. I had to go and talk about what kind of chemotherapy I was gonna have. I had to talk about removing my bladder, and I also had to talk about what was the percentage of me living, and also if I'm gonna be able to have kids one day. And so during this time, I just had such a huge battle of emotions, like being okay and then also not being okay. But I also just realized that I had to pray all the time. I had to constantly lift it up to God, not just once or twice a day, but probably like 10, 15 times a day where I was just praying to God. I also just had so much love and support. My family, my friends, everyone around me just was consistently praying for me. Family that's never prayed before prayed for me, and it meant the world just to get me through that time of my life of just the love and the care that I had from people. And that was also when I got to meet Jeremiah from the Never Claim. And I've gotten to meet him before, but my pastor took me there to just have him pray over me. And I think that meant so much because Jeremiah was someone we've looked up to for so long, and he's played at our church camps, and I just thought it meant so much for him to take time out of his night to just pray over me and love on me and just pray for healing during that time. And so after everything that happened, after tons of tests and tons of doctor's appointments, I had my final doctor's appointment, and at the end of January, I got undiagnosed with bladder cancer. Some of the things I learned through this experience was to trust God and to know that His plan's better than any plan that I had for my life, and to know that He was always beside me during this experience. I also learned to just be joyful and just love the life that I've been living, and to just be joyful in one of the darkest times I've ever had in my life. Something else I learned is that God can use your story in ways that we can't even imagine. My sister told me that she was thinking about suicide and was starting to come up with a plan before I got diagnosed. After I got diagnosed, my sister said to herself, why would I take my own life if my sister's trying to fight for hers? When she told me about this, I was just in shock, but I also realized that this whole experience was worth it. And she also made me think of the verse Romans 8:28 that says, and we know that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to His purpose. Now I'm 22 and I just graduated with my bachelor's degree in nursing from Grand Canyon University, and I get to marry my best friend this upcoming March, who's been there through everything. I am so grateful, and I can't believe that all of my prayers have been answered and I get to do everything that I was just so fearful for a couple years ago. God is so good, and I am so thankful.